Dementia is an area of concern for many people today. It's a disease that affects the brain and short-term memory and gets worse over time. Dementia is caused by changes in brain cells, which can lead to memory loss, difficulty with thinking or problem solving, and confusion. And while it sounds like a pretty big deal, there are actually plenty of things you can do to limit your chances of developing dementia. So don't go anywhere and keep watching, because in this video, we'll share the top 7 ways to lower your dementia risk. But before we jump in, can you do us a favor and like this video? Ring the bell for future notifications, and make sure you subscribe to Brain Health Smarts for more videos. Plus, stick around to find out how you can get a free gift. And now, let's lower your dementia risk by looking at the top way. Number 7. Control your blood pressure. Blood pressure may fluctuate as you grow older, but if you want to lower your risk of developing dementia, then you have to keep it under control. Blood pressure is an important indicator of your risk of dementia. High blood pressure is a major cause of heart disease and kidney failure, which raises the risk of dementia by causing damage to the brain. A study from the National Library of Medicine observed that blood pressure modifies cerebral infarcts, lacunae, white matter in the brain, and changes in these areas are implicated in the development of vascular dementia. The National Institute of Aging also looked at the correlation between the two and determined that hypertension in midlife was associated with an increased risk of dementia. This finding is echoed by the Alzheimer's Society. The society cites long-term studies that determined that high blood pressure in midlife was associated with the increased risk of developing dementia later on in life. Midlife has been specified as between 40 to 64 years old. Normal blood pressure ranges from 120/80 to 160/100 mmHg. High blood pressure occurs when those numbers rise above 140 and 85 mmHg respectively. So, how can you keep your blood pressure in a healthy range? Well, primarily through a healthy diet and regular physical activity, which leads us to number 6, maintain a healthy weight. It is no secret that being overweight can have a negative impact on your health and trigger degenerative diseases like dementia. The term overweight defines excess body fat, and experts have found that it can be harmful to cognitive functions long term. Excess body fat promotes inflammation, insulin resistance, and risk of chronic diseases, including diabetes and heart disease. The University of London monitored the BMI of obese patients in their 60s over 11 years. When the study concluded, they observed that those who developed a chronic disease as a result of obesity showed signs of dementia. In short, maintaining a healthy weight can lower your risk of dementia. That study, which was reported on by the National Institute of Aging, also specified that the risk of developing obesity was greater in people who had abdominal obesity, especially women who had a higher waist circumference. They also determined that the increased risk was there whether or not the person in question had hypertension, smoked, or had diabetes. They were simply at higher risk of developing dementia because of their higher weight. Number 5. Limit alcohol. Heavy alcohol consumption can increase the risk of cognitive impairment and dementia. Alcohol is a depressant that impairs your brain function, making you more likely to have memory loss and other cognitive problems. A cohort study followed 1,109,343 French participants with dementia over 20 years. Among these participants, researchers concluded that 57,353 cases were early onset dementia related to alcohol use. They noted that alcohol was one of the strongest modifiable risk factors influencing the development of dementia. In another study published in PubMed Central, researchers found that there was no demonstrable benefit to regular alcohol consumption and dementia. Heavy alcohol consumption is defined as more than 14 drinks per week, or 2 drinks per day. So, to lower your risk of dementia, it is important to significantly reduce your alcohol consumption. Most researchers do not advocate removing alcohol from your diet completely, as limited consumption does have its benefits. Just be sure to limit it to the recommended 14 units a week. Along with alcohol, you should also limit number 4. Stop smoking. You might be surprised to hear that your risk of dementia increases with smoking. Smoking raises levels of insulin resistance, blood sugar, and blood pressure levels, which can damage the lining of blood vessels. These factors also increase the risk of vascular dementia, which is the most common form of dementia. A study on elderlies pointed out that those who regularly smoke had significant risk of developing Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. The Alzheimer's Society goes even further and stipulates that even though not everyone who smokes will get dementia, quitting will lower the risk significantly. So, if you want to lower your risk of dementia, consider limiting your smoking habits or stopping altogether. Not only will you lower your dementia risk, you will also avoid the other issues that are associated with smoking. And if you're already doing so, there are 3 more things you can do to lower your risk of dementia. But before we find out what those are you ready for a free gift? Discover the everyday foods that can harm your brain and raise your risk of mental disorders, as well as ones that enhance mental focus, boost mood, and ease depression, and much more, by downloading your copy of Brain Food Secrets, the 15 worst and best foods for your brain. Grab your free gift by clicking the link in the description below. And now, let's lower your dementia risk by looking at tip number 3, exercise regularly. Moving your body regularly with exercise can not only prevent obesity and chronic diseases, it can also lower your risk of dementia. Physical activity boosts blood flow in the brain and helps maintain its health. After a study required participants to practice aerobics regularly, experts observed that exercise could slow down the atrophy of the brain's hippocampus and prevent mild cognitive impairment. Additionally, it has been found that you don't have to have a rigorous fitness routine to experience these benefits. Swimming, jogging, doing yoga, or walking can be just as beneficial for your brain if you're looking to lower your risk of dementia. So make sure you exercise 30 minutes daily. Dr. Jonathan Graf Radford of the Mayo Clinic outlines the many other benefits of staying physically active when it comes to your brain health. Not only does he say that exercise lowers the risk of developing dementia, he also adds that it can slow the progression of disease if you already have it. In a study done by the Mayo Clinic Proceedings, a peer-reviewed medical journal also underlines the importance of physical exercise when it comes to brain health. Number 2. Get a good night's sleep. We often take the value of sleep for granted. We push ourselves to the limit on a regular basis, thinking that we can just catch up on sleep in our downtimes. But, as you may already know, good sleep and regular sleeping patterns, for that matter, are important for good mental health. A study showed that it's not the number of sleep hours you get in a day that matters. What also matters is that you stick to a regular sleep pattern. This means getting the same amount of sleep a day, at least 6 hours, but no more than 9 hours. Oversleeping has its own problems, and sleeping at the same time daily as well. It doesn't count if you get to be late and get up early in the weekdays only to make it up by sleeping in on the weekends. Remember that sleep is the time when your brain and body recover from activity, and it is crucial for your brain health. When you sleep well, your brain cells can grow and repair themselves. When you don't, or experience various types of sleep disorders regularly, this can have negative consequences on your brain health. It can increase your risk of dementia through inflammation and enhancement of dementia-related symptoms, such as confusion and hallucinations. One study suggested that sleep deprivation, or sleeping less than 6 hours per night, could increase your dementia risk by 20%. So, what is considered a good night's sleep? Well, sleeping 6 to 8 hours per night is a good ratio for those looking to lower dementia risk. And along with sleep, you will also need to do Number 1. Keep your mind active. That's right, an active mind can help you lower the risk of dementia. In a study involving 19,000 participants aged over 50, researchers noted that those who regularly engage in mental games such as puzzles, crosswords, and Sudoku had brain function equivalent to 10 years younger than their age. This is because games and puzzles essentially work out the brain muscle and require concentration, creativity, and memory. In short, the brain neurons are more active and engaged, which can significantly help prevent dementia from developing. A 2015 study also stipulated that in order to lower the risk of dementia further, not only does an individual have to keep mentally active, you also need to maintain good mental well-being as well. This means keeping stress-free, addressing mental issues as they come along, and not letting things fester. Overall, lowering your dementia risk primarily comes down to maintaining a healthy lifestyle and is attainable to anyone and at any age. So, don't let dementia settle in and look after your health. And before you go, remember to like this video, consider subscribing, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with us. Plus, don't forget your free download by clicking the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you have a brain-boosting day.